We now have the winners for Best Animated Feature for Coco, and we have an addition on this group. So Lee Unkrich, Darla K. Anderson, and also Adrian Molina, who's one of the co-directors, is also joining. I will start with 104 in the back and then go to 40.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Wow, big room.
Congratulations, guys, over here.
Straight back.
And can you talk about the contribution of Bobby Lopez and Christine Anderson Lopez with their music, and especially for their song Remember Me, which resonated not only in Mexico but in countries throughout the world with strong traditions of honoring the dead?
Sure. We have been friends with Bobby and Kristen for a long time. I was a huge fan of their work. I always wanted to work with them. So when we started developing Coco, initially we thought maybe we would do a full-on musical. So we started working with Bobby and Kristen. They wrote a bunch of songs for us, including Remember Me. Ultimately, we ended up going down a different path, but Remember Me remained the bedrock of the movie. We just can't imagine the movie without it. So they made a huge contribution to the film.
We're going to 40, and then we will go 162. Where are you? 162, thank you. 40, then 162.
Hi, guys. Carlos Aguilar from Remezcla. Congratulations. Very happy for the win. Your win represents a victory for all Latinos, you know, because your movie validates our culture, that our culture could win an Oscar. So what could we do so other Latino directors, US-born Latino directors specifically, can have opportunities to direct movies starring Latinos? And what would you tell those directors, you know, at this moment?
You know,
this is the future.
it takes an awareness of the fact that, you know, strong storytellers come from all sorts of places. At Pixar, that is something that, you know, we're putting a lot of focus on and creating a lot of opportunity for, and I'm very thankful for, you know, the team and for the opportunities on this film. But, you know, we worked very hard to show that films about communities of color, films that come from particular places, have a resonance that can reach across the world. You've seen that with Coco, you've seen that with Black Panther, and I think you're going to see it with a lot of other films in the future. And it takes, you know, going hand in hand with the studio executives and the creative talent to recognize that that is a fact and to support each other, and that is happening, and we are starting to see it.
We're going back to 162.
Hello, here.
And then to
Adrian,
251.
hello, I'm Sergio from the newspaper Hoy. It's quite good to see you here because I read that you weren't supposed to be part of the reception of the prize, but you're a co-director, so obviously they include you. But the thing that I wanted to ask you, I read like many times that you're like of Mexican descent, but I would like you to talk a little bit about that. I mean, what part of your family is from Mexico? What generation are you? Were you familiar with, like, I think you grew up in California, so
yes,
you were probably very familiar with a lot of Mexican traditions. But I would like you to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, just like about the Mexican connection.
Well, you know, of all of the people at Pixar who, when they heard that Lee and Darla were going to be making a film about Mexico and Dia de Muertos, you know, I was one of the people who said, I need to work on that film. There is so much of my love and experience and so much that I would love to bring to a story like that. My mother is from Jalisco. My dad is half Mexican, but grew up in Whittier, and I grew up in Grass Valley, California. And so my dad used to be in a trio band. There is so much of my experience growing up, so much of the pride in coming from a family and a place that, you know, is proud of who they are, but to have this opportunity to reflect all of those experiences with a wonderful team at Pixar was something that, you know, I knew, if not now, then when. So, you know, thank goodness for Lee and Darla for believing in this story, wanting to do due diligence by culture and representation, and creating this thing that has really affected the whole world.
We're going to go to 251 and then wrap it up with 198.
Hola, María Elena García Villalobos de TV Azteca. You highlighted and you thanked Mexico for this movie. What does it mean, especially in these times when you know there can be strained relationship between Mexico and the U.S.?
We started making Coco 6 years ago, and it was a very different political climate, of course, than we find ourselves in now. While we were making the film, we had a change of presidency, and a lot of things started to be said about Mexico and about Mexican Americans that was unacceptable. And while we were making the film, we began to feel a new urgency to get the movie out into the world, to get a positive message about the beauty of Mexico, the beauty of the Mexican people, the beauty of their culture and traditions into the world, and also give Mexican and Mexican-American kids something to look up to, something to aspire to, and to see a bit of themselves up on screen. And the entire time we were making the film from that point on, we knew how important it was, and we tried to make the best film, the most authentic, the most respectful film that we could. And it just means the world to us that the film ended up being the biggest movie of all time in Mexico, and that it's done so well all around the world, including in places like China, that you wouldn't expect a film like Coco to do well in, but its messages about family and the importance of remembering our loved ones and keeping their memories alive seem to resonate with everyone around the world.
Adrián, ¿algún mensaje en español?
It's one question, sorry. So we're going to wrap it up with 198.
How's it going, guys? Congratulations. First off, thanks for you coming to Ireland earlier on in the year. We were talking to you over there. I hope you had a great time when you were over.
Yes.
Obviously, you mentioned that representation is so important with these films. And I know that you guys thanked your LGBT partners on stage. So would you say that LGBT representation and storylines and characters are something we might see in the future within Pixar films?
I mean, that's a dream. Yes. I mean, I think that every kind of diversity, LGBTQX, Coco's a great example of diversity and representation and the success of that. And I think that we'd both be very excited. All of us would be very excited to have characters like that represented as a protagonist role in every realm. And so that would be a dream, that would be a hope, and we are all talking about all kinds of things like that right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.